In this video, I'm going to explain why your immune system matters more than tracking macros or calorie counting when it comes to fat burning. And I'm going to give you the 3 most important questions you can ask yourself when avoiding foods that'll trigger your immune system and will stop you from burning fat. Hey, I'm Coach Adam Farr from TransformYourselfUniversity.com and welcome to my brand new YouTube channel. On this channel, I simplify the transformation process, giving you practical advice that you could use today so you could stop the vicious cycle of fat gain, illness, and low energy once and for all. If you're new here and you like this video, I want you to consider subscribing because I have a lot of great new content in the pipeline. And I don't want you to miss out on the unique perspective I'm going to bring into your world of health and fitness. So let's get started. Right now, the most effective diets for getting a fat-burning effect are the ketogenic diet and the carnivore diet. These 2 new and popular approaches to fat loss are responsible for helping millions of people burn fat and get healthier and more energized than ever before. For decades, the prevailing idea was that fat burning required that you measure and manage energy consumption and expenditure using calorie counting. And for decades, people have believed that this was the optimal way to burn fat and get healthy. Today, I'm going to challenge this long-held myth and convince you to shift your focus from calorie counting and macronutrient tracking towards the real underlying mechanism of fat burning and health in general. And that is the immune system and the 3 fat burning blockers: inflammation, oxidation, and pathogenic infection. Let me share a few big ideas with you. Big idea number 1, the method is not the mechanism. While calorie counting and macronutrient tracking can work for some people, this method doesn't work for the majority. And that's because this message doesn't address the physiological mechanism that underlies fat burning, namely the immune system and how it responds to chronic injury and infection from food and lifestyle choices, and how chronic inflammation and oxidation will force your body into fat storage mode instead of fat burning mode. When you eliminate the underlying causes of cellular injury and infection, your body will naturally move into a state of fat burning with little or no effort. And that's why the best food choices are made by considering how the things you consume will affect your immune system. Big idea number 2, you are not a Bunsen burner. The science of calorimetry is how scientists measure the calories from food. They come up with a caloric value by measuring the amount of heat given off by a food item when burned by a flame. The resulting increase in temperature is the caloric value of that food. The problem with this method of measurement is that the model being used doesn't reflect the mechanisms at play in the human body. And when it comes to absorption of food energy in the digestive system, you'll never find a flame burning your food at the pit of your stomach. So why do we think this approach has any basis in reality? Well, there's a key distinction to consider here. The method used to calculate the quantity of energy, in this case calorimetry, doesn't always accurately reflect the actual mechanisms that take place inside your body, which determine how your body absorbs and releases energy. Using calories as a tool to manage energy balance doesn't actually explain what's blocking your body's ability to burn fat. You may be in a caloric deficit, but if you eat pro-inflammatory foods that create an immune response, then even starvation won't allow you to optimize fat loss over the long term. So if you have trouble burning fat with this method, then it's time to learn the mechanism behind fat loss. Just a side note, I wrote a short article on this subject in my blog. Check the links in the description if you're interested in reading about this idea in greater detail. Big idea number 3. If you limit oxidation, inflammation, and infection, you remove all obstacles to fat burning. The best way to prevent these processes from occurring in your body is to follow a ketogenic or carnivore-style diet. But when following these diets, in order to keep your gut and immune system happy, the foods you choose must be high quality so that they don't promote an immune response from your body. What this means in practice is that in order to prevent an immune response that will trigger inflammation and oxidation, you must avoid exposure to pathogens and toxins found in the food you eat. So what are the major toxins you need to avoid? Namely, sugar, wheat, soy, pesticides, and most dairy. All of these things have been shown to provoke an immune response and will contribute to making you fat, sick, and tired. So the next time you go shopping, here are a few simple questions to ask yourself when you select your food. Question number 1. Would I be able to procure this food 15,000 years ago prior to the agricultural revolution? If the answer is no, it's because the food is not naturally occurring on the planet, and chances are high it'll promote inflammation, oxidation, or pathogenic exposure. Prior to agriculture, non-communicable diseases and conditions like autism and cancer didn't exist because we didn't consume metabolism-disrupting foods like wheat, soy, and for some of us, dairy. Which leads me to question number 2. Is the food you're about to eat available locally and at this time of year? If the food you're consuming had to be shipped to your location from a distant part of the world because it's out of season, then I can assure you that some sort of chemical preservation technique or industrial processing method was used on that item, making it more likely to contain toxic molecules that will block fat burning in your body. So avoid non-local foods if fat burning is your goal. As a general rule, this means that in the dead of winter, you'd move towards more of a carnivore keto-style diet and reintroduce locally grown tubers, berries, and nuts in the warmer months, only as they're made available naturally in the environment you live in. Are the animal products you're consuming grass-fed, grass-finished, free-range, and pasture-raised? If the answer is no, then the meat you're consuming is probably laced with antibiotics and hormones from factory farm operations. Commercial farmers use these drugs to keep sick animals alive while on a diet of grains and soy, which promote bacterial overgrowth and fungal infection in the animal tissue. So remember, don't eat sick meat because you are what you eat. So all of the advice I'm giving you more accurately reflects the underlying mechanisms of fat gain, disease, and low energy. The primary mechanisms to consider are nutrient deficiency, organ toxicity, and congestion of the blood and lymph, which allow nutrients and toxins to flow in and out of the body and to be excreted naturally. I hope you enjoyed this video. In future videos, I'll go into greater detail about many of the practical tips and tricks I've used for 15 years to help my clients transform their bodies, their minds, and their lives once and for all. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and follow me across all my social media channels so you don't miss a beat.